Holy smokers, artichokers, this market is getting murdered. Everything is going lower and lower right before the Fed meeting. And I had to make this video because you guys know me. I am more of an optimist. Now, obviously, I like to be realistic on what the market cycle is looking like, as well as macroeconomics. I don't necessarily want to always pay attention to them, but at the same time, you do want to take some of it into account as it relates to how the financial markets will look going forward, right? And so it's funny, too, because every time I make a video saying that I'm buying stocks or I'm optimistic or something like that, I actually lose subscribers. And that's okay. I get it. But I just think it's so funny how everybody is so insanely bearish when, in my opinion, this really is the time to buy. I think everybody is fearful because they think that, I know I've had a lot of people in my comments saying, well, for the next 6 months, I'm staying in cash. The market's only going to continue to go lower. We're in a bear market, blah, 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 blah. And I think that's essentially trying to time the market. And I don't think that's a good idea. I mean, seriously, if you look at many of these stocks, and I'm not talking about the trash, right? I'm talking about actual, real, legit, profitable companies. I mean, Microsoft is back in the 270s. Apple is still in the 150s. Google is still down at that 2300 range. Nvidia is back in the 180s. Amazon is just a freaking falling rock. I mean, honestly, it's unfortunate because when stocks do this, everybody's scared because everybody is afraid of what if I buy the stock and it immediately goes down. But that completely defeats the purpose of long-term investing. I don't think that's a good way to look at the stock. I think a better way is to do your fundamental analysis and determine, will this company go from the current market cap it is now to an even higher market cap in the future because of the free cash flow that they bring in and the fundamentals of the business. I think that is something that you have to determine. And so, yes, I know it is unpopular to say. I might even lose subscribers again after this video, but I'm still buying stocks. I can even tell you guys what I bought. So Microsoft, I'm not ready to pull the trigger yet. Apple, I'm not ready yet, even though I have bought them. When Apple went to 157, I did buy some. Microsoft, I am still waiting for it to go to 270. Google, I did buy some Google today. I did. And Tesla, the only reason why I bought a little bit more Tesla is because Tesla it keeps consolidating in these 800s. Now, obviously, I think 700s is when you really want to do your buy, but I don't have an issue nibbling a little bit of Tesla under 900, considering the fact that as bad as the market has been, Tesla just won't go back to the 700s. I think that says a lot about what the market thinks about Tesla's fundamentals. And again, I know it's unpopular to say, but I'm just saying, this is the time to buy. You don't want to be that person where the market rallies freaking, the S&P 500 rallies 10% from here. And then all of a sudden, when everything's like rallying and up 30% and 20% or whatever it is for the last week, all of a sudden you're that person who goes like, oh, is now the time to buy Echoes? Should I buy AMD at 120? Should I buy Nvidia at 215? No, you should have bought Nvidia at 187. You should have bought Microsoft at 270. Don't wait for these things to rally to come out of nowhere and all of a sudden want to buy. It's called FOMO. It's called fear of missing out. And unfortunately, we are going to see that. I'm telling you right now, I don't know when we're going to get a bounce, but we are due for a freaking bounce. If people who've been in the stock market long enough should know this, the market never just goes straight down or straight up. It does this, okay? And right now, it's just been this, right? Which means eventually we're going to get this. That's how the markets work. They do this. So we're due for a bounce. I don't know when it's going to happen. It could come the day after the Fed speaks. I don't know. Maybe the Fed speaks and the market goes lower. That's fine. This is why you should always have cash on the side so you can buy more. That's why I said when I deploy cash, I always only deploy a tiny amount of my money. And for those of you who say, well, I don't have a lot of money to begin with, that's fine. Take your $100, your $1,000, your $500, and instead of putting $250 in there, just put like $25 in at once. Don't be greedy. Just understand, if you really are fearful about what's to come, you also have to recognize that stocks are the cheapest they've been in 2 years. So why would you not buy? I mean, for crying out loud, I was almost going to make a video about this, but I think I'm just going to include it in this video. Warren Buffett has literally been on a buying spree. He literally barely bought anything in 2020 and 2021 because he knew that everything was way too high. But stocks have gotten so attractive and so cheap. Even Warren Buffett has been buying. I'll even get into that a little bit. So Warren Buffett dove into equity markets in the first quarter, spending more than $51 billion on stocks. Earlier this year, Apple shares dropped from highs of near 180 to 150 by mid-March. And Warren Buffett, speaking to Becky Quick with CNBC, he revealed that Berkshire Hathaway purchased $600 million worth of Apple stock after seeing it dip 3 days in a row. Notably, he said that he would have kept buying in Q1 if the price had stayed low. However, it increased back up to nearly $180 by the end of March. And holy cow, Apple is pretty much back at the price that Warren Buffett has been buying it at. I mean, I'm just saying, guys, like Warren Buffett himself is even putting more cash to work. And I know it's unpopular to say because everybody's just so bearish. Everybody thinks that, oh, it's only going to get worse. It's only going to get lower. But I mean, how much lower do you think it can really go? I mean, obviously it could continue to fall, but I'm telling you, number one, we're due for a bounce. Number two, you cannot get into the habit of trying to predict macroeconomics. It is never going to go well for you. When you get into the habit of saying, oh, I'm bearish, everything's going to die, I'm going to hold my cash, you never know. This could be one of the greatest markets in history. This could be one of the best years ever. You just don't know. Nobody knows. And I think that's the main issue. You have a lot of people who try to predict and think of what's going to happen or whatever. And we know time and time again that every time you think something about the market, it tends to do the opposite. And the other thing that we know is when the market finally starts rallying, it's going to rally on a dime. We actually saw this not too long ago. I don't know if that was yesterday or Monday, but I literally was going to buy VTI. And by the time I got to buy VTI, it went from 204 to almost 210 in one day. Like, market rallies happen really quick. And I know people are going to say it's just a bear market bounce. It's just this, and that. Fine. Even if it's a bear market bounce, bear markets are where the money is truly made. You can't sit on the sideline and say, I'm just going to keep waiting and keep waiting, because now you're trying to essentially time the bottom. And that's just not a good idea. So what is my solution to this? What do I think is a good idea? What is my strategy? My strategy is to put a tiny amount of cash to work on during fear times like this. You don't have to put all your money to work. If you think the market is going to fall lower in the months and days to come, then keep more cash on the side. But when the market is this low, I don't see how you can sit on the sidelines and not put some cash to work, because I'm telling you, when the rally finally comes, when Tesla goes back to 1,000, when and Nvidia goes back to 230, when AMD goes back to 120 or whatever, everybody's going to be like, hey, Echo, should I buy the dip now? And I'm going to say, no, you should have bought the dip back when everybody else was running away and selling their stocks. That's really how this whole thing works. So I hope you guys got something out of this video. I know people hate it when I say this, but yes, I don't care. I am still buying stocks. I am not putting all of my money in there. I still have plenty of money in other accounts. I even made an account just specifically so I could put more into stocks because we're seeing such fire sales, and I'm just allocating money to that account and I'm just holding it, and I'm putting tiny bits like 10, 5, 15% of that cash position into stocks every week whenever I see them staying at these low prices. So all I got to say is please do not be fearful. I mean, obviously I don't have the most experience in the world, but I have been doing this since 2017, and we've seen this so many times, and it's always the same thing. It's like human psychology never changes. Nobody ever wants to buy during the times when you're supposed to buy, which is when the market is blood red and dying. And when the market is rallying and leprechaun green, everybody's making all this money, everybody wants to pile in on the all-time highs. And then when the market drops because you bought a stock too high, people get fearful and mad and angry, and then they panic sell out of their stocks. I am trying to show you guys how to not do that. You know, a lot of these stocks have come down to a lot more reasonable valuations, and I just don't see how anybody couldn't be putting some type of cash to work on a day like this. So there you guys have it. That'll go ahead and conclude today's video. Thank you guys so much for watching. Feel free to like, share, and subscribe, and I will see you guys in the next one. Jerome Powell speaks in about 2 hours, so here we go. Our fate will be decided.